For Artemiev, with only a draw, Magnus Carlsen will be ready for the final in the Airthings Masters. And now we're jumping into Game 3 between Nepomniachtchi and Andrey Esipenko. Nepomniachtchi is up by 1 point after winning Game 2. And if he wins this one, it's going to be over. He will be ready for the final. And look at the bar, you guys.
Yeah, it's on White's side. This opening was another Italian game that we saw in an earlier clash between these two. But this one, I think, has gone wrong for Black. Look at the Black King. It's just too airy. It's too open. White's Queen is about to zoom along a diagonal and go towards that Black King. If you compare it to White's King, at least for now, relatively safe, the White King. Yes, Black has this bishop on a great diagonal, but I don't think you're going to break through there. So it's looking good for White. Black is a pawn up, however, and if Black can survive the storm, maybe some chances for Esipenko.
I would love to say to Jan, you're supposed to sit in those chairs, not lay in them. It's not a bed, it's a chair, Jan.
We're just jealous we can't...
I know. Have a little,
Can we do that? How far can you go?
I'm not going to try because it will go wrong.
And then we all fall back. Oh, wow, it's very bendy.
It's quite bendy.
Nice.
This could go...
But it's actually... And it's very... You can, like, shoot up.
Yeah.
Okay. Whee! Anyways.
But that's just how much Jan loves this position. He's so relaxed because he knows he's in control.
But it might be quite an instructive thing, actually, to kind of lean back. I'm kind of mean this in all seriousness, to lean back because, you know, sometimes when you're calculating, you get so lost in everything. If you lean back, you can kind of see the position...
Bigger picture?
Fresh, bigger picture.
Yeah.
It was Grishchuk, wasn't it? Alexander Grishchuk at the candidates when he was playing. Everyone else had these really comfy chairs and he had this really uncomfy chair, and he said, I don't want a comfy chair because I don't want to fall asleep. I want to be uncomfy so I stay awake. And that was his thing. So it's actually like similar idea, stay awake by being uncomfy.
Yeah. I do the same.
Interesting kind of stat, you know.
Yeah.
Should you have comfortable chairs? I don't think I've ever paid attention to my chairs.
No, not really. No, the same here. But I mean, I think I'd like to have a bit of comfiness in my life when I'm playing.
This and...
There's an article in Chess24 right now as well about chairs and the comfortable, the levels of comfort and what each player should want. I do the same though, but with food. I have to be slightly hungry when I play, otherwise I just can't play chess. If I'm full, I just can't focus. Bloated. Yeah.
I have to remember that one next time I play. You out for a steak meal? Or...
I mean, if you're treating me to the food, then I'll take it. But
okay.
I don't know. The hunger makes me play quicker and more urgently, and just makes me more focused.
I just thought of a tactic against David, you know, because he's a strong player, and it's unlikely that we're ever going to beat him. Maybe we can take something like really delicious smelling food because he's a bit hungry.
I mean, I've had that before when my opponent whipped out a really messy kebab in front of me, and I'm just like, you can't eat that in front of me because it's just everything all over the pieces. Oh no, I couldn't do that to David. Whip out a kebab in front of him and just start eating it. No.
I had someone do that with me with a burger.
Oh.
Okay. But I think
there has been a move, meanwhile. Andrey Esipenko, down on the clock, down to 6 minutes, has just brought his rook into the game. That rook was doing nothing in the corner, so he swung it across. Very sensible. However, White has a strong response here, and I'm assuming Jan is going to play it once he gets back to his chair. He's going to bring the White Queen out. There's two juicy squares, two choices here for the White Queen, but they look good. Let's just explain why White is doing well, despite being a pawn down. Simon, which Queen square would you use? This one to pin the Black Knight, or even this one, hitting the Black Knight and hoping to go maybe later for some checkmate ideas?
I don't know. I mean, I'd probably try the one you put on the board there, h5, just because if I can get rid of your knight, then it's game over. But they both look extremely tempting in the position. Just get the queen into the attack and build up with your pieces. So
yeah, and I think Black, either way, no matter where White plants the queen, will have to retreat his own queen as a defender. We actually saw this theme earlier between these two, and actually this has been played. So Black's queen is most likely going to have to step back. There are some tricks in the position. For example, as White, you can't get greedy and take this pawn because the Black Knight will suddenly jump forward with a nasty check, a fork, and it cannot be captured because of a pin. The Black Queen pinning this pawn towards the White King. So there are still some traps in the position. But then again, OK, this has been played. But then again, at some point, White could think about just being greedy, taking this pawn, hitting the Black Rook. At some point, you might even try and swing this rook into the game, bring it across the long way.
What about King F4? I'd love to use my F pawn here because your knight is the black knight is kind of supporting black's position, it seems. So if I can, again, it's looking at key defenders in your position as a good tactic to use that knight. Very good defender, get rid of the knight. Like, how do I do that? I use a pawn. My pawn's pinned, get my king out of the way, then use the pawn. So something like that as well could be an idea. I mean, there's
very nice.
Yeah,
Get out of this
really
diagonal.
Nice. And I was going to ask another question, because it is tempting here to capture a pawn with a knight, for instance. Could you do that? You do a little hit and run, come back, and then maybe start using, kind of switch tactics, kind of instead of playing so aggressively, just kind of go, well, I'm going to improve my rook on the queen side.
You could hit some pawns with your rook, bring that piece into the game. You could, at the very least, just retreat your knight and then combine it with Simon's idea of stepping the king across. For example, if black just makes a move, now you move your king across, and the idea is to push this pawn forward to destabilize the knight. But here it would also be a double attack, so extra effective. I like both of those moves, to be honest. I think maybe moving the king out of the way, but then this would allow a pawn to kick away this white knight. So first move I would calculate, at least here, would be a capture, just to see whether we can get away with any greed. So to take this pawn or not to take this pawn, that is the current question.
Yes, it makes sense to take it just to secure your knight in the middle. But OK, he's played.
He's gone for your move, Simon.
The Ginger GM School of Chess.
Yeah, it's always worrying when I look at the evaluation bar just drop as soon as he plays it.
But there's definitely logic behind it, right? It's the human touch.
Yeah,
What was the top move? OK, the top move was actually a different move, moving the rook one square to the b1.
Which looks so strange, doesn't it? But yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, that rook move, but as humans, we're trained to look at the one side of the board, right, where the kings are.
I guess here you just have to calculate c6, f4, and if you think this works very well as white, then you play it. I mean, maybe not even f4, but it's pretty sort of, if it works, it wins. Is why maybe Jan has played it.
So meeting an attack on the white knight, maybe with a counter-attack against the black knight.
Maybe. I mean,
it's a lot to calculate, right? But at the very minimum, white could even retreat the knight, and still this idea that you mentioned coming a bit later. So very, very tense. I think black has to play that move. What else?
I can't see any other move at all. I mean, how much time does he have? Okay, he has under 4 minutes, Esipenko. And let's remind everyone, if he loses this game, then he's out. So he's under a serious amount of pressure here, and Jan loves attacking like this, doesn't he? It's why he was challenging for the World Championships. It's a pity we didn't really get more of these positions for Jan. Well, not a pity for Magnus, but a pity for everyone else in the World Championships, because this is when we see him do it, he does it so well generally.
And this is embracing his own style, but at the World Championship, it felt like he was trying to play a different style, or it felt like he was playing with the handbrake on. Just couldn't get moving, really, couldn't get into fourth, fifth gear.
And I think that was a great skill that Magnus actually achieved. He stopped him getting his car into gear, really. He stopped getting he didn't allow positions like this, which is a great skill in itself, controlling the game. Maybe the other idea of this king move is actually just go bring the knight to f4, take the pawn with your queen, bring the knight in. You can just play it a bit simpler as well. Put the knight on that square rather than the pawn.
Yeah, maybe we show this, because that's very... OK, we're going to see it actually on the board, but the pawn hitting the knight has retreated, and now, as you mentioned, Simon, if black just makes a move, then queen takes pawn is possible, because this knight check is not working anymore. Firstly, it's not check, and also the white king no longer on the same line as the black queen. And this is deadly now, the white knight joining the attack. Jovanka taught me that 3 is the magic number, and these are 3 attacking pieces ready to go towards the black king.
That looks really nice.
It is really nice, and I just really feel sorry for black's king. It really needs some pawns behind it, in front of it, rather.
So do you kind of disagree with the bar right now? Should it be, more in favour of Jan?
Possibly. Maybe there's a genius defense that the computer will find, but for humans it's so unpleasant. And also it's the type of advantage right now, 0.4, which, if black is not accurate, might just explode into +5, +6 for white. So it's not the type it's going to be long-term.
I really don't think there is a defense, because I'm just, take a look at every single one of black's pieces. The rooks can't move. OK, well, Esipenko is trying. He's breaking forward in the centre. OK?
Very logical. I mean, there we go. The evaluation bar does shoot up, though.
Just like you said, David. Yeah, literally. I mean, even pushing white's pawn forwards, getting in that little unit is an idea. But the simple idea of queen takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Actually, there's too many good moves, and Jan doesn't even think about which one to play. So
The problem is black's queen's tied down. It can't go on any counter-attack because it has to stop checkmating ideas against its own king. And still this idea of the white queen stepping back, taking a pawn is deadly almost.
And there's just no coordination whatsoever from any of black's pieces.
well, white's soon going to be a pawn up with the attack, which is quite a nice position to be in. I mean, you know, what else do you want in life?
I heard a funny expression from the Russians. They go, white is a pawn up and as compensation has an attack.
And pawn up with compensation.
Yeah.
So.
OK, so black trying to kick away the white knight now. Black's bishop was on a great diagonal, but there was nothing actually to do there. And, OK, Nepomniachtchi making a bit of a face as he retreats and takes this pawn with the queen. We were advocating this, but now at least black can get rid of the white knight, which was a potential attacker. And no immediate checkmates.
One thing that does worry me a little bit about Nepomniachtchi is how he's playing the move so quickly. Because, you know, while we've seen him have great instincts, he has missed opportunities because of this.
Yeah, sometimes not looking for all the options. And, OK, we do see the black bishop trade itself off for white's knight and black recapturing a pawn in the centre. So it's actually level material right now. White is still doing great because black's king is the more vulnerable of the two. And also white's rooks are combining very well. Black has a lot of weak pawns. But then again, I would be happier now now the white knight is off the board. At least the queen and knight, they can team up if the scenario is right.
The problem, though, is the king, the black king.
Yeah.
You know, you can just see a scenario where, you know, a set of rooks come off and white lifts the rook up to the third row and then I don't see any defence for black whatsoever.
I'm having a hard time with my beginner level to understand why the black king is so unsafe. I see two strong rooks next to it. I see a queen in front of it. Why is it so unsafe?
That's a great question, Kaya. Maybe if we pull up the board, we can show this. It's simply because of the number of pawns in front of it. So white's king is super safe. It has two pawns to hide behind. That means the white pieces are free to roam and do anything they want. The pawns will act as the defenders. Whereas the black rooks are great, defending the back rank at least. But in terms of any vertical attacks against the black king, the knight has to stay here, pretty much. The queen has to stay in front of it. So these pieces, they're just stuck and paralyzed. OK, at least they have to stay near the black king. So I do like this last move by Esipenko, maybe creating some tension here with a pin, also an escape square for his king. But in general, these pieces are stuck as defenders. White's pieces are just free to do anything because black only has one pawn as a defender. White has two pawns as the shelter. So look at this, another pin created. And this is the point, I think, here, Kaya. Look at this, just a pin. Black's king is weak from the front. And, OK, black's queen has to step back, breaking that pin. We see a trade of rooks, and white has gobbled up a pawn. At some point, white would love to... I just want to create some space to run away with the white king just before it gets checkmated. But, OK, the evaluation bar surprisingly going in black's favour.
There's maybe an amazing idea here, yeah? I mean, you can try to checkmate white.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So why not?
How would you do this, Simon?
Queen h6 even.
OK, and...
Just, you know, if he finds this move, because... You've always got to look at. Okay, it's very hard to turn from defensive to attacking. It's one of the hardest things. But you know, the white king is a little bit funny there, and you've always got to look at creating some threats. And that move is actually very hard. How do you defend against that move?
Yeah, suddenly things could be turning because look at Stockfish. It has 3 suggestions there. 2 of them give white a big advantage, but black does have this resource, bringing the queen round. And as Simon says, this is actually hard to deal with because this is a direct checkmating threat. This move would trap the white king on its back rank behind its own pawns. Oof, a lot of work to be done here.
Will he find this move? I mean, he's got 40 seconds, Esipenko, and it doesn't look like he's found it yet just from his body language.
Yeah, I think he's just not changing from defence to attack, as you mentioned.
But what does white do after this move? I mean, he hasn't found it.
Hasn't
found it, no.
This would have required white to, I think...
Look at this move.
Wow, OK, nice. Let's... OK, I was going to say, let's go back to the players, but right now, white has sacrificed the queen. If the rook takes, this is a deadly check. White is about to emerge with an extra bishop. Let's go back to the players. We'll explain this later, but white is about to win.
I think he has won.
Yeah.
Esipenko gives up. He's about to lose a whole piece for free. Nepomniachtchi, perfect technique to finish it off.
Wow, this semi-final match is over after 3 games. Jan Nepomniachtchi winning game 2.